You think you know the U.S. Constitution? I bet you don't, at least not as well as you think. From voting rights all the way to presidential powers, a lot of what we're taught is either simplified or just plain wrong. So today, we're tackling 5 common myths about the U.S. Constitution that most Americans still believe. Stick around, you might be surprised. First up, the big one. The Constitution guarantees your right to vote. That sounds right, doesn't it? But actually, it doesn't. The Constitution is written in the negative. It outlines who can't be denied the right to vote based on things like race, sex, or being over 18. It never explicitly grants a universal right to vote. This is a crucial distinction because it leaves the details of voting access up to individual states. That's why voting laws can vary so dramatically from one state to another and why voter suppression can be such a persistent issue. There's no federal guarantee that says you specifically have a right to cast a ballot. Moving on to myth number 2. The Founding Fathers created a democracy. This is a classic. While we live in a democracy now, that's not what the founders originally designed. They established a constitutional republic. And it was a republic that was incredibly exclusive. When it was first written, the vast majority of the population, women, enslaved people, Native Americans, and even white men who didn't own property, had no voice and couldn't vote. It took generations of protest, struggle, and amendments to even begin approaching the inclusive democracy we strive for today. Myth number 3. The Constitution is perfect and should never be changed. This idea of the Constitution as an untouchable, sacred text is just not accurate. The document itself has been amended 27 times. In fact, the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, were added almost immediately after ratification. The founders themselves knew it wasn't perfect. They built in a mechanism for change, Article Phi, precisely because they expected future generations to adapt and improve it. The Constitution was never meant to be set in stone. It's a living document designed to evolve with the country. All right. Myth number 4. Presidents can do whatever they want with executive orders. We hear a lot about executive orders in the news, and they can seem like a superpower, but they're not a blank check. Executive orders cannot override existing laws passed by Congress, nor can they violate the Constitution. They are powerful tools for directing the executive branch, but their power is limited. Plus, they can be challenged in court by states or individuals, and a new president can often undo the orders of the one before them with the stroke of a pen. Finally, myth number 5. The Bill of Rights applies to everyone, everywhere, and always has. Not quite. Originally, the Bill of Rights only restricted the power of the federal government. It didn't apply to state governments. So your state could, in theory, violate your freedom of speech without it being a federal constitutional issue. It wasn't until the ratification of the 14th Amendment after the Civil War and over a century of subsequent Supreme Court rulings that most of the protections in the Bill of Rights were applied to the states through a process called selective incorporation. So there you have it. The Constitution is one of the most important documents in modern history, but it's also complex, frequently misunderstood, and far from perfect. Understanding what it actually says and what it doesn't say is the first, most critical step toward being an engaged citizen and protecting your rights. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Stay curious and stay informed.